Welcome to Factory Forward, the podcast that explores how cutting-edge technologies and visionary leaders are redefining the future of manufacturing. Today, we're honored to welcome a true pioneer in digital manufacturing, Prasad Satyavolu, lead for Industry X Manufacturing and Operations in Americas at Accenture, and board member at CESMII. With over 30 years of leadership at global powerhouses like TCS, Cummins, and Cognizant, Prasad has been at the forefront of turning IoT, AI, and data into real-world factory performance. In this episode, Prasad shares powerful insights on building agile factories, scaling AI across manufacturing networks, and why causal AI is poised to change decision-making forever. From COVID-era pivots to long-term digital transformation strategies, this is a masterclass in leading with both technology and purpose. Now, meet your host, Zishan Zia.
Welcome to Factory Forward. I'm Zishan Zia. My guest today is Prasad Satyavolu, America's lead for Accenture's industry and manufacturing and operations, and a board member of CESMII, the US Smart Manufacturing Institute. With 30 plus years at Accenture, Cognizant, Tata Consultancy Services, Cummins, and Tata Motors, Prasad has helped turn IoT, AI, and data-driven insights into real factory gains. Prasad, thank you for joining us. Welcome to the show.
Thank you, Jishan. Happy to be here.
Prasad, what are some practical approaches to integrating, industrial IoT across legacy industrial environments without disrupting operations? Kind of a, shifting gears and kind of a pretty different question, but curious to hear your thoughts on that as well.
So now everybody has mastered the art of rotating equipment and measuring vibrations and really building predictive models on that. That's now a very simple use case that you can buy literally a $20 gadget on Amazon and get started, basically. It's become that simplified. One can argue that's industrial IoT, and it is, because you are connecting some of the key failure points and then expanding, you're building a use case, which is, by the way, is the biggest issue, remains a big issue as maintenance. I think the broader context of cyber physical systems uh, has to be looked at when you are looking at IoT. What do I mean by that? You have to look at convergence in the context of IoT. So if I'm monitoring any piece of equipment, am I able to monitor just a piece or am I monitoring the whole line? And then once I'm monitoring that line, what am I doing with this? So what are the steps on that? First thing I can monitor and I can take an offline action. The second step I can do is I can then start to predict the behavior and start to predict the failures on that. The third thing I can do is I can then even connect closed loop it to an edge action that can happen in case of impending failure or any, let's say you install also a vision system, you notice a quality defect and you stop the line in good old lean fashion. You stop the line in case of a defect. So you're preventing the batches from getting rejected. So you can do multiple of these actions. But then the real power would be that you are looking at how do I de-risk my outcome from the plant. That means can I predict it, but can I also do the planning? Can I take that input, that prediction into my production planning, scheduling, and sequencing? So that's yet another level. And then I can look at this as a command center across my manufacturing network to see, okay, where am I seeing failures? Where is the possibility of a failure? So my resource will go down so I can take preventative action. Then it can go to the whole new level of diagnostic and expert diagnostic and lead it to the AI. Then you can feed it into the virtual reality based or augmented reality based maintenance procedures, guide people on the floor to fix it from a plant operation standpoint. From a supply chain standpoint, you can take it into the planning system. You can then start to actually expand it into your contract manufacturing and get visibility from contract manufacturers into your planning systems. So uh, I think the scaling needs to be thought of as a horizontal scaling model and a vertical scaling model. That how do you expand the same use case across every facility that you have, and then how do you expand that across multiple functions within a facility and ultimately converge both so that you have a network wide array of scaled use cases of industrial IoT, leveraging multiple technologies interspersed with or working together with IoT. So you can do a lot, but you need this, as we discussed previously, on what's the leadership intent, what is the people commitment, what is the purpose, what is the value use cases. All of those principles apply to not just AI, but to any such programs which are aimed at big transformation.
No, yeah, that's really comprehensive. You covered a lot within 2 minutes. I really like that, and would love to maybe just do another session at some point in time, specifically focused on that topic. Prasad, you talked about leadership earlier in our conversation, and I'd like to ask you questions around that as well. What kind of leadership approaches are necessary to drive large-scale transformation programs across these really complicated and complex industrial ecosystems?
Yeah. What I have observed is a involvement of frontline associates who are uh, day in, day out engaged in operating the plant is very important and critical. That said, you need buy-in both ways. You need buy-in of people who are affected, people who are going to use the system, people who are going to make decisions about that. So uh, there is this whole notion of stakeholder alignment and commitment that to me is very important. So it is, as a leader, if I'm making a decision to create a program, um, I shouldn't be driving this top down. It requires commitment, it requires alignment, and it requires a common purpose. And my principle is you can debate all day long, but then end of the day, make a decision. Very important. Make a decision. And once the decision is made, let's stick to it as a team. And that's why it goes back to my earlier point around leadership behavior. Like, have you built a team? Have you created a purpose-driven, focused, innovative team capability within your function or within your environment, or within your operations, within your firm? To be that, which is like you can freely debate ideas, but you make a decision and then everybody says, let's go execute on it. And that doesn't mean, as leadership behavior, we have to encourage the flexibility and agility. You have the vision to go in a certain direction. You have even a stated strategy, but in today's day and age, you also need to be very agile and flexible. So um, eh, I subscribe to the notion that change is constant and change is the direction. How can differ? That means let's say I was on a journey to create from a system standpoint, like everybody will have dashboards and it'll be a web portal which will be providing you the dashboards. And along came generative AI. I need to change direction because now generative AI is available. How do I do that? And so the direction of the commitment to change is important as a leadership behavior, providing the teams the flexibility to adjust the mode and pivot. So you have to give that latitude. So the leadership behavior in summary that I would, there are many, but I would say a ensuring that team is looking at both strategic view of the business and taking tactical actions that are aligned to that strategic roadmap, very important. And you are building consensus and a high performing team culture, which is purpose driven. These are not just jargons. They are like they really mean something when you see the difference between a team which is humming, which is working together, versus a team which everybody has their own ideas. They don't know what the mission is. They don't know what the vision is. Bringing all of that together as a cohesive structure, to me, that's leadership responsibility. And that's very critical to the success of these programs. And that's what makes or breaks the programs. Staying the course is important, but I said staying the course to change constantly. Uh, you be flexible to adopt and listen.
100%.
Those are very important behaviors.
Makes sense. Prasad, my last question, and one that the tech geek in me really wants to ask you, how do you see the convergence of supply chain, manufacturing, and this exciting uh, advances in AI evolving over the next 5 years?
So I think all of this is converging towards what is the ultimate goal. We in manufacturing, supply chain, engineering world, our goal is to serve the customer with at the lowest cost possible, with the highest quality, and the added dimension to that is becoming a norm nowadays is I call it the TikTok fulfillment, because consumers are demanding um, very rapid fulfillments. That's creating
Right.
additional pressure. So you have to take that view. Instead of optimizing for each function, now is the time to start thinking about breaking the silos and looking at how can supply chain planning and logistics work in tandem in a very orchestrated way with manufacturing to actually deliver something that the consumer or the customer is asking for. It could be a medicine, it could be a duct tape, or a soft drink package or a snacks package ordered through an e-commerce channel. So that focus cannot go away. Focusing on who we are serving, and that should be the guiding force. And that should unite the supply chain, manufacturing, quality, all the functions. So I can talk technically on let's have the data core. Yes, on top of that, create data products or contextualization engines that and a semantic layer that can completely identify, and you can build on top of that. Yes, but with what focus? And there is a technical strategy to build from grounds up your core systems, your strategies on that. But also, when the fulfillment action comes in or a demand comes in, how is your response going to be? How the functional policy decisions are going to tie all of these together? So I see three key changes coming in very rapidly. A, consumers are going to force this upon organizations to break down their silos. And I dare say that will be from the design, consumer requirements, design engineering, all the way to manufacturing and the procurement to fulfillment. That's coming. Consumers are going to force it. They are already demanding it, and there is so much gap in that. The second thing is the artificial intelligence use cases to will serve as a big technology uh, to break down these silos. Because today the fundamental issue is I don't know what you are doing as a second function. I'm just throwing it over the wall. I have no visibility. Think of a model where humans, agents are working together. Um, so in which case, the information is just a query away, or may not even be needing a query. Information is automatically processed based on the need that that agent needs to perform, and that agent is performing it. It's fetching the information from a data product and it's calling that. So that's second part. It's going to. The third and a very exciting thing for me is physical AI. That means the closed looping of this whole infrastructure of core intent and that the customer has to the AI orchestration of data and its processing and the logic and the intuitive decision making that comes with that. And then execution, that how do you orchestrate a fleet of robots or humanoids or manufacturing line to execute on that, make the product, move the product, package it, and then ship it. Maybe a drone delivers it. Who knows?
Right.
So this is the so then you are so the automation. I don't want to overhype the automation, but I am putting that in the context of overall convergence of engineering, supply chain, procurement, and manufacturing. So that's how I see it on those three dimensions.
Incredibly helpful, incredibly insightful. I believe that our audience is going to love this. I love this. I learned more from this. I feel like 35-minute conversation than you learn sitting in a conference. But thank you so much, Prasad. Really appreciate you taking the time, and would love to have you again on the show at some future date.
Thank you, Jishan. Thanks for having me. Appreciate it.
Thank you.
Thanks for tuning in to this episode of Factory Forward. If you found value in today's discussion, don't forget to follow us on Spotify to stay updated with future episodes and share it with your network to keep the conversation going. Join us on social media using #FactoryForward and let us know your thoughts. We appreciate you being part of a community that's always striving to improve, innovate, and move forward. Until next time, keep pushing boundaries and embracing new ideas. See you in the next episode of Factory Forward.